All right. Welcome back to Fist Entertainment for my review of A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 5, The Dream Child. This particular Nightmare on Elm Street installment is actually the lowest grossing, most unaccepted film in the franchise. Now, being accepted is a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Obviously, Part 2 is. But this movie, but I shit you not, this movie made less money than a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge did. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge made more money than this movie. Now, here's my theory about why. I think that the problem is that Sarah Richer, the producer of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, at the time was pregnant. And she thought it was overly important. Mr. Fierce is a brand new first-time mom to address the fears that new parents face about their children. And that plays a little too much in the movie. So yeah, that aspect of Nightmare 5 is definitely something that is a bit of a distraction. But do I think that makes it okay for everybody to hate this movie? No, I don't. Because I think that Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5 is one of the better Nightmare films. What makes a Freddy Krueger movie so great, people, is not the pop cultural references that Freddy does, or the in-your-face comedy, dark humor that he has, or shit like that. It's the gothicness and the innovative concepts of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies that make Nightmare on Elm Street films so great. And much like the last Nightmare installment, Nightmare 4, the remastered, this one does that, and it does it very, very well. And so no, I am not someone who's going to hate on Nightmare 5 like everybody else. I think the film's great. Is it inferior to Nightmare 4? Yeah. But pretty much all these movies are. At least the ones as far as the ones that are actually part of the Nightmare on Elm Street series. Which means I'm actually one of the people out there that actually pushes Freddy's Dead and New Nightmare aside because I don't consider them Nightmare on Elm Street movies. If they were Nightmare on Elm Street movies, it would be called A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 6, The Final Nightmare. Or it would be called Nightmare on Elm Street Part 7, Harsh Reality, or The New Next Nightmare, or some shit like that. They're not. They're called Freddy's Dead, Final Nightmare and Wes Craven's Nightmare. So no, they're not technically Nightmare on Elm Street movies. But as far as Nightmare on Elm Street films go, I still think the 4 is the best one. I know people will probably hate on me for that a little bit, but I don't care. I think it's the best one because it does a lot of what I could see as a good Nightmare on Elm Street movie. But let's go into the premise of Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5 takes place, I say roughly 2 years after the events of Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master. Alice and Dan are graduating from high school. They have a new group of friends that they are associated with. Greta, Mark, and so I remember the really awesome black chick in the movie. What her name is? Yvonne. Yeah, Yvonne. Basically, they're graduating from Springwood High. Alice and Dan are planning a trip to Paris and Alice is having weird dreams of Freddy. She don't know where they're coming from. And basically, what's interesting about the dreams is he's actually dreaming about Amanda Kruger, Jason Voorhees' mom. Oh, sorry, take it back. Sorry, just give me a second here. How about you two knock it off? Okay? You're distracting me. I can't even think. Sorry, the cat and the dog are playing. Freddy's mom. She's having dreams about Amanda Kruger, Freddy's mom. And basically, throughout these dream sequences that she has early in the movie, we are actually discovering a lot more about the roots of Freddy Krueger. Now, the one thing I did not agree with, the first thing I did not agree with the movie and the plot of the movie is this. This is about the only thing I like about Freddy's Dead to Final Nightmare, the next movie I will be reviewing in the Freddy Krueger film series, is I like their explanation for how Freddy grew up and why he does things that he does. In Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, he tried to do like some biblical weird thing by having Freddy come out of Amanda's body is a creature that looks like he does as a burned, being burned by vigilante justice. So he would always look like that, and that doesn't work because that kind of goes against all the movies, doesn't it? So yeah, there's one flaw right there. Does it make it a bad movie? No. But I can understand why people didn't like the movie because of that. Freddy was not born looking the way he does. He was born like a regular person like you and me. Granted, he is the son of 100 maniacs and the child of pretty much a horrific act of violence from maniacs from raping a nun hundreds and hundreds of times. He was not a creature when it came out of Amanda Kruger's wound. So, yeah, that right there is a little bit weird, but that might just been a part of Freddy fucking with Alice in her dreams or something. I don't know. But Dan gets killed, and Alice finds out that she's pregnant with a unborn child. And while the fetus is growing in Alice's wound, Freddy is locking onto the idea that unborn babies spend 75% to 80% of their day asleep. And so, instead of invading Alice's dream world and turn it upside down by giving Alice nightmares and bringing people in and killing them, that way, he's leashing onto her unborn child inside of her wound and doing it. And that now allows her, even while she's awake, it allows Freddy to plague all her friends and kill all her friends. In the end, she bows out with Freddy in a representation of her unborn child, whose name is Jacob, who Freddy gave diabolical life to in the dream world. And basically, with the help of her last and remaining friend, Yvonne, the black chick, they have to find a way to unleash the trapped in, put in torment, supernatural spirit of Amanda Kruger, Freddy's mom, and allow Amanda to bring an end to Freddy once and for all within the dream world. And of course, Freddy gets. This is very weird. This is what happens. This is what happens. This is how it ends. Freddy, through some supernatural spiritual means from Amanda, gets reverted back into an infant creature, and then supernaturally gets thrown back into Amanda's womb, while Jacob turns into a batch of energy as well and goes back into Alice's wound. Yeah, that's what happens. I'm not making that shit up. That's how it ends. But yeah, a lot of weird stuff in the plot of the movie. Yes, I will admit that. But is this film a bad movie? No, it's not. It's actually a good movie. It's very haunting. It's very gothic. I think it has much more of a darker atmosphere than the last two movies, which has too much pop cultural stuff in it. Although 4 still is my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street film, it's still too pop cultural. I'll definitely admit that. This one's more dark and grim, and that's something that I liked about Part 5, and why I give it a lot of praise, because it's a dark and grim Nightmare on Elm Street installment. It's not, pop cultural and in your face, like, say, Nightmare 4, and in a lot of ways 3, in Freddy's Dead Final Nightmare. And 4 has a lot of pop cultural stuff in it, but it's not so overwhelming. The problem with Freddy's Dead Final Nightmare is every fucking scene in that movie is nothing but pop culture being thrown in your face. That's all it is. It also has not much of a plot in it either. Now let's go into audio-video quality. Very good on the video. I would say there's a lot of really good picture quality on this one. This one has a gothic look to it, and so yeah, it has a lot more warms and a lot more neutrals, and it has cool temps. So it's not like a piece of genius videography like Part 4 is, to where it's like watching 3 different kinds of movies: a warm temp movie, a neutral movie, and a bright colorful movie. This one knows this to be a dark, grim, and neutral movie. So there's that to say about the picture quality, which I liked. Audio. When I first started this movie, it was a bit flat on the sound, but once a lot of shit started happening in the movie, the sound became more intensified. But is this a step down from the previous film? Yes, it is, because that was intensified the entire time. But once interesting and cool, innovative stuff started happening in the movie, a lot of intensified effects happened in the surrounds. There's a lot of direction in the front. All that stuff started to play really well with the movie. But it didn't start out that way. It started out very flat and lifeless when it comes to the sound. But it picked up. But I think that's the best way to kind of describe it in terms of the 5.1 DTS HD master audio track of the film. Alright, well that's pretty much my views on A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, The Dream Child. Did you like the movie? Did you not like the movie? As always, subscribe if you like. Check back to me from time to time. And I will see you guys next time for my review of Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Until then.